We call this a bonus lesson because maybe you don't have enough time in the day to get to this point, or maybe based on the pace of the class, you needed to take things a little bit slower. But if you can, try out sound effects using the setEffect function. Simply put, it allows you to use sound effects in EarSketch. And it's a new function called setEffect. And you'll notice in our example code, I'll go back to EarSketch to show you what I meant. When we look at our second example, example 1b, you'll notice at the bottom, one of the reasons I like to encourage everyone to use that example code is because at the bottom it had all this code that had these hashtags. So what are these hashtags for? And so these hashtags allow programmers to write comments in plain text that the Python interpreter will just ignore. So it could be a way to document your code, maybe to remind yourself to do something later, or to explain what you're doing to another programmer who's also working with the same code. In this case, we're using it just to sort of deactivate this code. And so if we want to remove those hashtags, well, you could go line by line and delete the hashtag. Or you can just simply highlight all that code and then hit Control and the question mark on a Chrome device or Windows device, or Command and a question mark on a Mac. I'm going to go back into EarSketch. I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm going to say like this, uncomment. Automatically, that code is now functioning. Now scroll down. You'll notice it's not a fourth track, but it's right below track 3. And that's where you see this little line going here. It says volume gain. You notice it has a horizontal line going across, and it's right under track 3. What's happening? It's this new thing called setEffect. setEffect is like fit media. It's a built-in function. And it has 4 parameters, just like fit media. Fit media, the parameters are sound, track, start, and end. With setEffect, the parameters are track, type, parameter, and effect value. That's not going to make sense quite yet. So let's break it down. So track equals 3 because we're changing the sound on track 3 in some way. The type of change or the type of effect is volume. How we're changing it, how we're changing the volume is the gain. So we're going to turn that dial, the way you might see a dial on like a guitar amplifier, that'll turn up or down. So we're going to dial up or down that sound. We're going to dial it down in this case because we're going to reduce it by -10. And it's -10 decibels. We'll explain what that means. And then we call the setEffect function, which says, okay, I'm going to change the value. I'm going to change the sound on track 3. I'm going to change the volume. I'm going to turn it up or down. In this case, I'm going to turn it down by -10 decibels. So what's a decibel? Well, 30 decibels is like a whisper. 60 decibels is like a normal speaking voice like me now. 120 decibels is the loudness of a crowd, right? Which can actually start to damage your ears. In this case, we're just going to have the loudness of the sound reduced by -10. And so when we click the run button, and I'll go back into EarSketch to show this, and click the play button, now it's changing this last track right here. You had the bypass to know what it would sound like if I didn't turn down the volume. You can see it's a good bit louder. Now I've just dialed it back to kind of make that kick drum a little softer. And again, we'll notice that the box under track 3 that says volume gain, that horizontal line, it's not at the top, it's just a little bit lower down because we reduced it by -10. So at this point, what we want to do is have the students just start to play around with their track, rearrange it in different ways. Maybe they want to play with effects. Some students might ask things like, well, what if I want to change the pitch? And we say like, well, you can try it, or you can just Google it. In this case, check the curriculum. You might see something called pitch shift. You can go in there, check that out, see what that's all about. We're not going to explain that for the purpose of the hackathon. You can go and figure that out on your own and really encourage them to start to play around with the code. And the easiest way to do it is not to try to understand everything that's going on here. Just go ahead and start hacking away. And so we leave students to it, and then we try to make sure that all the other students have come along the journey with us. And again, we're at the end of the session. Great opportunity, if you have time, for students to share their work. Same process as last time. Click the share button. Then they copy to clipboard and then share it in the form that you provide for them, or in chat, or however you are communicating with your students. And again, it's a great opportunity for you to give them praise for both their music and their code, to give them feedback on what they could do differently, maybe challenge them to push this even further with both their creativity and the coding that they're doing. Students can just pick and choose different videos within the BreakBeatCode curriculum to learn more. There's also the free course for BreakBeatCode at breakbeatcode.org, which is self-paced learning of the entire curriculum that they can take from start to finish, which can go up to like 8 to 10 hours, depending on their pace. But a lot of students might just want to go right to YouTube and just pick something that they want to learn. Maybe they just want to learn more about sound effects. And that's it. You can reach out to us with any questions at breakbeatcode.com, and hope you have a great time introducing this into your classroom.